They say that the class clown is the happiest guy in the room in school, but when he goes home, he's the saddest. Maybe he's put on the class clown impression as an act, a way to get external validation, because he can't make any friends in school. His behaviors trouble him. He can't respond normally in social situations and it haunts him. Maybe they just want to feel loved and they don't feel loved at home. Maybe they have abusive parents, so they try and get that love through their classmates in school. In fact, school is their safe haven, their happy space, and when the bell rings at the end of the day, they're dreading their return home. This scenario is quite reminiscent of the lives of our favourite comedians back in the day, John Belushi and Robin Williams. John Belushi, he starred alongside Dan Aykroyd in The Blues Brothers. Dan Aykroyd himself having been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, just like me, and a little form of Tourette's when he was a child. People with autism like us can be the funniest people in the room. But how did it end for John Belushi and Robin Williams? Well, John Belushi died of an overdose. I have no doubts that it was brought on by the pressure of his life and the struggles he had in his mind to try and escape those demons in his head, ones that may have haunted him back in school, reaching for external validation just to feel accepted. And Robin Williams, God forbid, he had such a long career and starred in many of my favourite films. I remember the day he died. I was 10 years old. I was pretty shocked. And back then I wasn't really developed enough to understand the grave consequences of death. But looking into it, it just looked really sad. He unfortunately took his own life after a long history of depression. Such a shame, isn't it? How can the funniest man in the room inside feel the most sad? Or, that's not the right word. Depression is the absence of emotion. But he brought so many positive emotions to us. So how could that happen to him? And ultimately, the only people they couldn't make happy was themselves. Now, I myself externalize a lot of my emotions. Well, I certainly did until I hit puberty, then I mellowed down a bit. And then I started to experience what demons were like. Demons a fraction of the size of those that haunted Robin Williams and John Belushi, I'm sure, but at least I could get a bit of perspective. And having Asperger's syndrome myself, I could relate a little. When I'm unable to express my frustration in an environment, maybe I've lost a game, instead of shouting out anymore like I did when I was a child, I would instead scream internally, and it hurt. And those emotions would be stored as trauma within me, memories to be let out when a similar situation arises again. And so I needed to find a way to release that emotion. And I found out that the easiest, simplest way, your route one way of doing it, is to grab my baseball bat and hit the bed until I run out of energy and I can't anymore. And I keep hitting it, and eventually I've let go of the trauma and I feel relieved. And it's a mindfulness process that I'd never felt before, at least not since I learned meditation techniques with my biology teacher back in 2021. But sometimes it gets that bad. You know, I may have overcome a lot of my difficulties with Asperger's syndrome over the years, but it will never fully go away. Maybe once a year I'll have an outburst again and I'll need to let it go, somehow. And we all need to do that. The reason why? Otherwise, the demons in our heads will get louder, and that can lead to drastic consequences. A guy I saw grow up, he wasn't my friend or anything. He was a year younger than me. He took his own life 2 years ago now. He lived really close to me, and that death hit on a personal level because no one I knew had gone from this world before, especially not in such a way. But ultimately, if the demons win, such consequences can arise, and we want to prevent that from happening as much as possible among us. So I believe the best way to overcome that is to contact your friends, call them, hit them up, get off the internet, go for a walk, go for a fun bike ride, explore something, try something new you never had before. I do that with my best friend all the time, and we find it to be very therapeutical. And us people with autism, like me, I like to spend time alone, and I don't need friends for validation, or even to keep me company. The internet does the job for me. But I've noticed that on days where I spend less than an hour on my phone, I feel a lot more free, mindful, and I feel the demons coming into my head less. And that level of presence is what keeps me going. So in summary, your action step is to contact a friend if things are going down. Speak it out with him. Especially if you're a guy like me, I understand a guy's perspective most. Go out onto the grass and just wrestle each other. I know it sounds bizarre, right? But when it's just you and him, just in contact, socializing, having fun, living life, being a human being, not a human doing, then you will feel much more alive and the demons should go away for the meantime. I hope that helps you today. If you would like early access to the final drafts of my video, to talk to me, to talk to others in my community who offer insights on autism, and even to suggest video ideas for me, yep, you can choose what videos I make in the future, then you can support the channel for just $5 a month. Link in the description. I use school.com, which only takes 2.9%. plus 30 cents of your money, rather than YouTube's membership cut of 30% or Patreon's 8 to 12%, so you know it's in good hands. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, call your friend and have a good time. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.